Hi, it's Maggie from Golden Lights Within, and I'm back with another video. And today I'm going to be talking about just the number one tip to ease into a circadian lifestyle. And I wanted to go over this because I can just speak for myself. When starting on this path, I wanted to do all the things. And of course, it's great to strive for that, and eventually you will get there as you educate yourself and just slowly integrate and master things within your schedule. However, making yourself feel stressed, in the process of creating this lifestyle is, almost missing the point. So I think it's good to know, what is this one thing that I can start with and master, and then I can start to integrate the other things. So when I talk about like all aspects of the circadian lifestyle, that would be optimizing morning light and the sunrise. It would be, making sure you block artificial blue light after a certain time, going to bed at a certain time, optimizing daytime light, paying attention to when you eat your meals, that sort of thing. So there's a lot that can go into it, and that can become very overwhelming. So without further ado, the main tip and way to ease into this lifestyle is to watch the sunrise. And that is the best place to start. So the reason this is, I'll go into all the different health benefits because there are quite a few with watching the sunrise. But for me, when I started, that helped shift everything. Because when you think about it, if you're waking up late, that can make you kind of feel groggy, and then you're not as tired at night, to go to bed earlier. And so then you go to bed later because you're like, I'm still not sleepy. And so it can make that vicious cycle and make it really hard to just step into this circadian rhythm. You kind of force the hand when you start setting your alarm, a little before sunrise, and immediately going outside and getting that sunrise light, because then your body, I'll kind of talk about more of the hormonal neurotransmitter, downstream effects of that help with that process, but also just the fact that, when you wake up really early, you're usually ready for bed earlier. And then when you go to bed earlier, it helps you wake up earlier, right? So it just shifts that cycle. I think about it when I was younger and it was summertime was ending and school is going to start, before, the weeks leading up to school, my parents would have us wake up just a little bit earlier, right? And then that would make us tired earlier at night. And so we were shifted into that pattern and, able to be in that rhythm. So just think about that sunrise is setting that. So you go to bed earlier, and that will just stick to that and master that, and you will be on the right track. So I will go into, like I said, the why. So number one tip, right, is to see that sunrise every day, master that first before you start. And of course you can delve into the other ones, but I'm just saying, if you're looking for one thing to start with sunrise. So you get that light signal through your eyes. So when, I wake up, I go right outside, you get that light signal through your eyes, and that communicates to your brain to start those body clocks for the day. And you have, kind of like a main body clock, but you also have body clocks all throughout your body and all your different organs. So that master clock is started when you get that light, natural light, not artificial light, natural light from being outside. That starts the clock and all those different body clocks. So your master clock and then all the different body clocks. So this allows you to sync up with that circadian rhythm, so that 24-hour sleep-wake cycle, right, that we want to be in a good rhythm with, that, our body evolved to be in tune with. So it cues hormones that, there are certain hormones that are linked to the circadian cycle. And so those will, rise and fall appropriately is probably the way to say it. So melatonin is one. And so melatonin is what we need to rise right when we're going to bed. So we don't want melatonin to be rising when we're getting up for the day, right? That doesn't make any sense. So when we get out and see that natural light, that suppresses the melatonin, okay? And it also cues it it gives it a signal to have it prepared for later that night. So again, you're suppressing it in that moment, but you're signaling to your body to have it ready for the night ahead. So when I talk about why sunrise is such a great first way to ease into it, think about, you're getting your hormones and body kind of on your side when it comes to going to bed early and waking up early. So that really, really helps. So that's one of the hormones I wanted to talk about. And then cortisol, it rises naturally, like right as you wake up. And so seeing that light helps that process. So the cortisol will rise naturally and appropriately. The melatonin will fall naturally and appropriately. And then the other thing that it does is seeing the sunrise helps to reset leptin sensitivity. So basically leptin is getting a gauge on your energy stores. So if it is sensitive and working correctly, it'll say, hey, you have enough energy. You don't need to eat more food, right? It will give you the proper signal as far as hunger and satiety goes. And so when you think about also just maintaining a healthy body weight and having your hormones on your side with that, the leptin sensitivity reset is a really important part of that. And that happens again with that sunrise light. So very important. And then it also influences neurotransmitters. So most of us have heard of serotonin and dopamine. So like serotonin, the feel good, neurotransmitter, and then dopamine kind of having that motivation, right? So those neurotransmitters are influenced by that sunrise. So making you feel better, more motivated, more focused. Again, all just with seeing the sunrise light. It's crazy. So, and also that is a lot to do with the ultraviolet A, the UVA light. And so I have a video all about optimizing the different parts of morning sunlight. So if you want to check that out and learn more about that, but I just did want to note that it is tied into the UVA light as well that you experience in the morning. And then again, if you think about when you watch the sunrise, you've got those pretty reds and oranges, and then you also are experiencing that infrared light. So you've got the red and infrared light that when you get that on your skin at the beginning of the day, that helps protect your skin later in the day when you're exposed to UV. So you could think about it as like a natural sunscreen, if you will. So lots of benefits of it. And that's why I just recommend, there's so many benefits to it. And I just think that it kind of gets hormones, neurotransmitters, right? All those things on your side. So as you try to adopt this, you're not like fighting up current, against the stream, right? You're flowing with your body's natural process. You've got your neurotransmitters on board. You're feeling good. You're feeling motivated. You've got your hormones like melatonin and your cortisol on board. So you're, feeling more awake at the right times and feeling sleepy at the right times. So I just think that helps you out. And so again, you're not, kind of fighting for this lifestyle. It just kind of eases in more naturally. So see the sunrise. That is your number one tip to ease into the circadian lifestyle. And that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.